We're looking here at hurling possession analysis. Now, unlike football possession analysis, you will not be able to do this in real time. As you get used to the program, it'll probably take between 1.5 and 2 times the length of a game to do. Saying that, it will leave you with significant pieces of information above and beyond possession analysis. So why can we not do hurling possession as quickly as football? Well, the simple reason for that is in football, you're more or less taken for granted that if a player is uncontested, he's going to get the ball in his hands, and if he doesn't, you just mark it as a negative play or a turnover. However, with hurling, we account for how the player got the ball, and the simple reason for that is certainly away from the top level of the game, you'll find a higher number of players will fail to get the ball into their hand when they were standing over the ball or underneath the ball, uncontested or with limited competition for the ball. So to that account, this is accounted for in the table. So you'll see here there are 3, 6, 9, 11 different ways you can receive the ball. So we can take a still ball, a slow moving ball, or a fast moving ball. And by fast moving, we would categorise it at going at 90% of full speed. Then you've got a still ball contested, a slow ball contested, or a fast ball contested. Now, the important element of these three is that is still to say it was your ball to win, that you were over the ball or in pole position. But as opposed to these three here where there was no contest involved, this would suggest that there was a player within hurley reach of the ball, so that, as I say, it was your ball to win, but you did have to contend with the proximity of an opposition player. Here's a hand pass received, a high ball that's uncontested, a high ball that is contested. There, if you played a ground strike, and here, if you made an interception. And again, that's not to be confused with the breach interception analysis over here. That is quite simply to give credence to a strike where you've struck the ball while it was in the possession of another player, i.e. come across them and hit the ball after hurley, or while they were bouncing it or throwing the ball up. Now, so what you'll see is when you click one of these, we'll say still ball. You have the option that it was won or lost. If you click lost, that will be the end of that. There'll be nothing further to record. But if you click won, I haven't filled in the previous data. Now, where is the previous data? Here you'll see this green box will always tell you what your last piece of data was. I'm going to delete that because it's actually ready to show us. Now, here's a piece of information. This is just to give a quick differentiation between a slow ball, uncontested and contested, because it might not be quite clear. We'll put it on to full normal speed and we'll see here. We're not worried about these players. You're going to see Dan McCormack come in from the right of the picture and he's going to take the ball. Now, it's important in this case, I'm going to slow down the half pace again. That's a slow ball or a still ball. We'll see how in a second when we slow it down. But it's contested, and that is to say it was his to win, but you know, there was an extra bit of savvy involved on just picking up a slow ball with nobody around you. So he's come in. It's actually moving slightly, so it's a slow ball, but it is contested. So what we do is, have I deleted that or have I left it? I think I've deleted it. So Dan McCormack, slow ball, we right click, he won it, and then we'll go up here and you'll see you can either work on it from the program itself, but typically with hurling it's better to work up here. You'll see it here, right click, and we're going to see what happened. So as it moves on, what happened? I think he lost possession. It was blocked. The linesman is flagging the other way, but I have my doubts. No, he's obviously gone over the line there. So let's have a look. What are our options? So we right click. Now, he could have done any of these things. He could have had a long strike 50-50. He could have struck the ball in front of a player, had his strike lost. That is to say, he hit it to the other team, scored a point, scored a goal, was fouled for a scoreable free, earned a 65, lost possession with a hand pass to another player who was somewhat under pressure, hand pass to a free player. That's quite significant. And to a free player means a player who had time enough to plant his feet and strike the ball without having to worry about somebody getting the ball off him or blocking him. Broke the line, their strike was blocked, they were dispossessed, they were fouled for, earned a free or a sideline. That is to say, not a scoring free. No sidelines are considered scoring sidelines, even though they could be scored, but it wouldn't be the expectancy. They fouled the ball, or they hit a wide or a miss. In that case, we would say he didn't foul the ball, but he was, whether the strike was blocked or dispossessed, it's hard to say. The foul was given against him, or the sideline was given against him, so we're going to say dispossessed, which is the same to say brought the ball out over the sideline. Now, most of those are more or less self-explanatory, so there's no need to go through them. Now, also, you can, if you're running out of space here in your timeline, you can just hide the buttons. And again, your timeline here will give you a full readout chronologically of every player's every action in the game. So you look at James Barry here. I know there weren't too many on the day. From full back, 32nd minute was his first ball contact of the game. It was a high ball. It was contested, and it was won on his break. He didn't win it cleanly, but it was won on his break. 47th minute, slow ball. He won it, and he hand passed to a free player. So on, so forth. Now, the key piece of this is, unlike football where there's one table here, there's actually 4 pieces of information here. So we're going to start with the first basic one, and this correlates exactly to all of these things. So again, you'll see the name here. Let's say James Barry again, JB. So he had a total of 2 possessions, because again, the high ball contested that he didn't win cleanly. He never had the ball in his hand, or he was never standing over it to be able to hit it. And you look, he had 0 in all of this. He played 1 hand pass, a short hand pass to somebody under pressure, and 1 hand pass to somebody not under pressure. Now, that's quite a big table, and probably the one you'd be least inclined to look at, but it will go through again. If you go down here, you'll see who have we got here. Brendan Maher struck the ball long 50-50 on 4 occasions. Are there any standout figures here? Who struck to free players? Here we are. Noel McGrath on 4 occasions struck the ball in front of a player. That's quite a significant figure there. Same thing as you're going to see, we put a lot of credence on a hand pass to a free player. You go down here quickly and we'll see 2 is the most anybody did of that. You see there, John O'Dwyer. Oh, sorry, no, there's a 3 here. John McGrath on 3 occasions. No, sorry, that's hand pass to pressure. Hand pass to free. You have a few lads there did it twice. Now, there's your basic table. But it goes into more fine-tuned stuff here. And you'll see here, this looks at high balls. And this is the total of high balls. Now, this is going to give you quite a startling figure. And if you want to know why Tipperary beat Kilkenny in the All-Ireland final, look no further than this chart here. So you're going to see how many were won clean. And this gives you your individuals. Look at that. High balls contested. Tipperary won 28 cleanly in the air. And Kilkenny won 7. Or Tipperary lost 7 cleanly. Now, straight away, all things being equal with 2 teams, it's hard to see the team who won 7 high balls beating the team who won 28. And you know, and straight away that would elude it. I mean, I don't think Brian Cody needs much help with his statistics or his management. But straight away, if I was looking at figures like that and we'd lost by 3 goals, I'd be saying, you know what, there mightn't be a hell of a lot wrong, except the fact that we were seriously beaten 4-1 on high balls. Again, you look at your individuals and you'll see 1 or 2 significant figures here. Ronan Maher, centre back, he won 7 cleanly and he lost 2 cleanly. And if you look at your half back line, look down below him, Padraig Maher won 3 cleanly, lost none cleanly, and there's 1-0 there for Seamus Kennedy. So you'll see in total, you know, Tipperary's half back line won 11 clean high balls and lost 2 straight away. You know, it's hard to see where things would go wrong with that sort of foundation. Now, 1 break. This doesn't allude to whether the player themselves won a break. It's if the break was won off their high ball, and then it gives you other figures, and that'll show you again on high balls of the day. The breaks were nearly 50-50. Tip won 37, Kilkenny won 34. But the total possession gain and loss on high balls, Tip came away with it 65 times, Kilkenny 41, 61-39 ratio. You know, and that's a very significant figure. So we go on to our table mode. We click it again, and we'll see here. This will go into how you came about getting the ball. So again, at this level of the game, most of these zeros here are fairly predictable. So you'll see your total amount of ball incidences. Here we have Cathal Barrett was involved with the ball 7 times. He came away with it. 2 he didn't. But again, you'll see 1 of those was a high ball contested there, and 1 was a slow ball contested. So he never lost a ball that was his on his own. You'll see here still balls. they've taken 6 in their hand. They've managed to miss one. That was Pádraig Mar. You'll see here again, as you'd expect at this level, 42 slow balls uncontested. They got the ball in their hand every time, and the one fast ball that came in, probably alluding to the fact that ground hurling doesn't go on that much anymore. The one fast ball that came in, they actually didn't take it. Again, still ball contested. They won 2, didn't get the ball in their hand once. Again, slow ball contested. You'll see there, because there was a bit more to deal with. On 5 occasions they didn't come away with the ball, 24 they did, and so on and so forth. Hand pass received again, 34 they got, 1 they dropped. High ball uncontested again, took 11, missed 1, and then again there you go, high balls contested. They have a fairly positive figure there. We'll move on to our table mode, and this is probably the most significant piece of it all, and this gives you it all in summary form basically. So if you'd lost a possession, if we go back to our we'll put out the buttons again there, we'll turn down the game. You know, if you lost any of these, it would be considered as a loss. So you look in here, and again, let's have a quick look, and you're going to see 1, and we're going to have a quick look. Right click, we'll turn that video down, we'll right click here again. This is just to give you a look at the different possibilities, and here's what we grade them as. Now you may or may not agree with this, and if you don't, you can always set up your own possession analysis on one of the custom pages based on this or based on something completely different. But broadly speaking, you'll see here, there's the total amount of possessions you have. There's neutral plays, long balls played, positives, scores, losses. Now have a look here, and you'll see a 50-50 is a long. Strike in front, you've struck the ball in front, cleanly in front of one of your players so he can win it out in front. That's definitely considered a positive. A strike loss is obviously a loss. A scored point goes into score. A scored goal goes into score. Fouled for a scoreable free also goes into score. The free taker is not credited from the possession play. The player who was fouled for the free is credited, and you're going to see some significant figures there, and you know that's something that probably goes unnoticed by a lot of analysts and maybe even managers. Earn the 65, same thing, it's credited as a score, so you could actually get more scores here than there were in the game, because any scoreable free is marked as a positive there. Hand pass lost is obviously a loss. Hand pass to pressure. Now here's the a key piece of analysis we would have. Hand passing the ball to a player who's under pressure is considered a neutral play, whereas hand passing the ball to a player who's free, can plant his feet in the ground and has time to look up and play that ball, that's considered a positive. And all things being equal with 2 teams, probably the team who do this more have a fairly higher chance of winning the game. Breaking the line, again, that's a positive. Broadly speaking, breaking the line will be overwritten by some of these, but if it's not, and you have broken the line and it's not a loss, you'll record breaking the line. Your strike is blocked or you're dispossessed are both losses. Fouled for a free or around the sideline are both positive. You foul the ball is obviously a loss. A wide or a miss is a loss. And then here you'll see your total figures here. So let's take a look. Who's our highest possession for the day? It was John McGrath. He was on the ball 16 times, 3 neutrals, hit the ball long once, 1 positive play that wasn't the score, 1-5. Now that's what he scored himself and what he earned in frees and 65s and whatnot. Lost the ball 5 times. Obviously Seamus Callanan, fairly famous day for him. He was on the ball 11 times, no neutrals, no long balls, obviously in the full forward line. 1 positive play, 9 points and 1 loss. So 11 balls, 9 points and a positive play. So there you go. That gives you an absolutely massively comprehensive analysis of what's gone on player by player, game by game, as well as the high balls contested. Here you have your full game average, and that'll just break it down what your averages are per play for the team, so you can compare individuals to the average. The average was 10.1 possessions, it was 151 possessions, so on and so forth, and that really will leave you with just about as comprehensive a possession analysis as you could get in hurling.